to this video talk organized by Mr. Farooq Amin of Humble Intellectual Group from Mysore. The topic for this video talk is Mahmud Khan Bengaluru, a chronicle of Tipu Sultan times. The speaker is Mr. Syed Tahsin Ahmed. Mr. Tahsin Ahmed is a retired case officer who has served in many responsible posts in the government of Karnataka. Although an administrator, Mr. Tahsin Ahmed has wide interest in academics and history. He has a strong inclination for research activities too. He is the author of the books titled Mysore Palace and also another book titled Nature and the Quran, a literary insight. His earlier video talk was on the subject Tipu Sultan's contribution to the field of horticulture, and another video talk titled The Legacy of Sir Mirza Ismail have both become viral. So let us now hear Mr. Tahsin Ahmed on the topic Mahmud Khan Bengaluru, a chronicle of Tipu Sultan times.
Hello everyone. I am going to speak to you about a lesser known freedom fighter from Karnataka by name Mahmud Khan Bengaluru. The struggle for India's independence brought into limelight iconic leaders and brave heroes whom we honor and deservedly too. But there have been many lesser known freedom fighters who stood up valiantly against the might of the British in their own small way, but had to pay a heavy personal price for it. Mahmud Khan Bengaluru is one such freedom fighter from Bangalore who used his pen to fight the British. Mahmud Khan's life was spent in trials and tribulations, but he never forsook his courage of conviction. After working in small-time clerical posts and getting a pittance of a salary, Mahmud Khan got a good break when the publishers of Hasimul Akhbar made him the editor of this Urdu newspaper in the year 1911. Using this opportunity, he carried out a tirade against British rule by continuously writing powerful articles and poems supporting the freedom movement. When the British government came to know about this, they asked the publishers to remove Mahmud Khan Bengaluru from the editorship of the newspaper. As a consequence, Mahmud Khan lost this means of livelihood, and his financial problems once again surfaced. But this did not deter him from writing articles against the British rule under various pseudonyms. His luck ran out when he wrote a poem calling himself Simab Bengaluru. The intelligence wing of the British government found out his identity, and as a result, the collector threatened to deport Mahmud Khan and to ban the newspaper. When the British faced reverses in the First World War, Mahmud Khan used this opportunity to rope in a few writers and highlighted the same, much to the chagrin of the British establishment. The pressure from the British government mounted until Mahmud Khan could not bear it anymore, and finally he left Bangalore reluctantly. Mahmud Khan went to Anantapur, and from 24th November 1913 he worked in the North Anantapur gold mines for 4 years on a salary of rupees 40 per month. From 1918 to 1927, he worked as timekeeper or storekeeper in another gold mining company owned by John Taylor. Thereafter, Mahmud Khan attempted to eke out his livelihood by venturing to do various businesses. But he failed in all these ventures and incurred heavy losses. Consequently, he returned to Bangalore in the year 1929 in search of employment. In Bangalore, he was fortunate to be appointed as superintendent of Ahl-e-Islam orphanage at Dickinson Road. This orphanage is now called as Muslim orphanage. Here he served for some 11 years and rendered yeoman service by taking steps to impart self-employment skills to the orphan children. With this initiative, an industrial school was also started by the orphanage. He introduced the children to sports like football, etc., and built up their teams. His services to the orphanage are indeed unforgettable. It was during this time that Mahmud Khan started writing his most famous book, Sultanat-e-Khudadad, which was published in the year 1939. This book in Urdu language was written and published when the British were still ruling India, and this speaks of his courage of conviction. The path-breaking book presented Tipu Sultan as a king who was driven by an exceptional nobility of character and who had a zeal for reforms and development. The book, citing various verifiable sources, presented Tipu Sultan as a tolerant king who treated all the citizens well, irrespective of the religion to which they belonged. This was in stark contrast to the depiction of Tipu Sultan as a fanatic, a tyrant, and a plunderer by the British historians of those times. Apart from Sultanat-e-Khudadad, Mahmud Khan Bengaluri authored 9 other books. Of these, Hyder Ali, which was published in 1938, was a historical novel, and Sahifa-e Tipu Sultan, published in 1947, was an Urdu translation of William Kirkpatrick's book, Selected Letters of Tipu Sultan. Mahmud Khan supplemented this translation with his clarifications wherever they were required. This book was released in the year in which India attained freedom. Mahmud Khan dedicated this book to the youth of India who fought for the freedom of our country. How sad that even after India gained freedom, this frail man from Bangalore who fought the British with the might of his pen was not recognized and honored. However, the last days of Mahmud Khan's life were spent in much suffering and misery because of severe financial problems and poor health. The books he had written were doing well in the market, but he had surrendered the publication and distribution rights to the publishers without getting anything in recompense. Desperate due to his financial needs, he wrote a number of letters to the publishers. The publishers' replies were mere excuses, and a few of them brazenly lied that they had incurred losses. Adding to his woes, was the problem that these publishers, who were from Lahore and other places, were now in a foreign country, Pakistan, due to the partition. And the publishers had no intention of honoring the commitments which they had made in the undivided country. Left with no alternative, Mahmud Khan started corresponding with the government seeking grant of pension. After prolonged efforts, he was able to receive a pension of rupees 100 per month. But this was sanctioned for just 1 year from April 1957. A time came when Mahmud Khan started selling the only possession he had, and that too at throwaway prices. The only possession he had was his valuable books, which he had so painstakingly collected from years, and he had to sell them. Nothing can be more heartrending to a man of letters. Finally, Mahmud Khan Bengluri bid adieu to all his troubles, and he expired on 15th October 1958 at the age of 71 years. He was buried in the Khuddus Sahib Khabristan or burial ground at Bangalore. A revolutionary author, a historian, and a freedom fighter, he died in penury without being honored. But the legacy he has left behind lives on, making every Indian proud of him. Thank you so much for giving me a patient hearing. Thank you so much.